Man, we're having way too much fun with this new equipment and sound effects.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I like it.
And that's just a taste of what we can do with some of this new soundboard that producer Andrew's got down there. All this new equipment came in just recently, thanks to Quick Draw brand adapters. We're actually going to be talking to them next week on the podcast. We'll mention that again towards the end, but we got some pretty neat stuff coming up here in the future.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
It's time to hit the trail, lock in those hubs, and throw it into low range. Because you are listening to Wheelin' with Keith and Johnny Orange, broadcasting from the Thin Line Off-Road Studio. They're here to talk about 4x4s, trucks, and everything to do with enjoying the great outdoors. Buckle up. Here's your hosts, Keith and Johnny Orange.
Welcome to Wheelin', everybody. I am one of your hosts, Johnny Orange.
And I'm Keith Kodet of Thin Line Off-Road. How you doing this week, John?
Not too bad. Started work on another project of mine. It's kind of been an ongoing thing for the last few years.
Are we talking about the diesel Jeep project?
No, that's for the most part done. I mean, it still needs some work here and there, but I have another project that's been kind of dormant in the garage for a while. It's been sitting. It was actually the very first project I learned how to do anything automotive on. You know, before that, I could change a tire, jump a car, jump start it, and put fluids in it. That was about it. I could check the oil. I didn't know anything else. And that was the one I kind of learned everything on. Well, most of it anyways.
And what is it?
It's mostly 1988 Jeep Cherokee. And it's got everything on it now from 1984 to 2002 of mostly Jeep parts, some Chevy, some Dodge, some Ford. So it's a general hodgepodge of everything, really.
Yeah, I think we've mentioned your Johnny Cash Jeep in the past.
I think so.
So that's going to be our topic today is the Jeep XJ. And before we roll into that, though, a couple of just quick announcements and things to talk about. Listening back the other day to episode 8, where we talked about our 8-lug axles. This is not so much a correction as it is kind of an addition to that.
They call it an addendum.
An addendum, there you go. Is that your word of the day for the word of the day calendar?
Yeah, I'll look up what it means later.
Okay. Well, so we'll use that for now, the addendum. We did not mention the AAM axles that are found in the front of 04 and newer, I actually think 03 and newer Dodge trucks, or in the rear of some GM vehicles. We had mentioned all these other great 8-lug options out there, and we didn't really mention the AAM, American Axle Manufacturing. That was not really left out on purpose or as a mistake, but we just kind of ran out of time. We packed a lot into that 8-lug axle episode. With that being said, the AAM axles, although they are very stout axles, they're under the 1-ton Dodge trucks, under the dualies. They don't have a lot of aftermarket support right now, and they take a lot of special tools to work on. So they're not considered widely by the off-road community to be a popular swapping axle. So that's why we didn't really mention them at the time. They are starting to get a little popular with a couple of the companies like Desert Power Wagons, where they're swapping them into some of the vintage Power Wagons, especially the ones that have the selectable lockers in them.
Nice.
So they are stout axles. There's a lot of... you could use them for a build, but there's not a lot of different gear ratios available. There's not a lot of aftermarket support for them right now. So I just wanted to mention that. But also, something else I wanted to throw out there for our listeners, we are now on the Pocket Cast app. And that is thanks to Casey Cross out of San Antonio, Texas. He is one of our listeners. And he listens on Pocket Cast to several different podcasts, and he wanted us to be on Pocket Cast, and he actually went to the trouble of getting us uploaded on that. So huge shout out to Mr. Cross. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Much appreciated.
So if you're a Pocket Cast listener, go ahead and go to Pocket Cast, and you can find Wheelin' on Pocket Cast now.
Cool.
So back to our subject. We're going to talk about the Jeep XJ today.
I'm okay with that. I like that Jeep. That's one of my favorites.
I think you do. I think you're going to almost lead this episode. How do you want to do this one, John? You want to talk about it in the very beginning, the development, what it replaced, and all that?
We can go back and forth. I mean, a little bit. I know it replaced the full-size Cherokee, the SJ, I believe they called that one.
Yeah, so the body-on-frame Cherokee was built, it was the same body style as the Jeep Grand Wagoneer.
Okay.
And that's where the Cherokee name was first seen in the Jeep lineup. But they decided to keep the Cherokee name, but for a whole new model that debuted in 1984.
Nice.
And, like I said, you know a lot about these. I've had them myself. I know a lot about them as well. The XJ Cherokee was Jeep's first unibody design. They did a lot of weight cutting on it. They got rid of the big heavy frame.
Yeah, they're pretty light. I can say that much for sure.
Yeah, and they made them from 1984 through 2001 for the U.S. market, and all the way up to 2014, I believe it was, for the Chinese market.
Yeah, that's what I never realized. I knew they had a model that went into 2005, 2007. I never knew that picked up from there and went into 2014. That's an incredible product run.
It really is. Now, we are talking about the same boxy body here.
Yeah.
With minimal upgrades, improvements, and only one major facelift for the U.S. market and one major facelift for the Chinese market.
Yep.
But it was the same basic body shell all the way from 84 all the way up to the end of the run in 2014. Although the Chinese version, I guess they stretched out a little bit. They made a little longer wheelbase.
I believe it was something to that effect. Yeah, I know the engine options are different for sure.
Yeah. So, why are we talking about the XJ today? Well, it's a popular Jeep. What does XJ mean? We were actually doing a bunch of talking about that, and we don't really know what the X stood for. It might have just been what'd you call it?
Some
a product?
sort of building code.
Building
Something
code?
to do with where it was built or when, I believe. I don't remember off the top of my head. I know I've read about it once before. I couldn't find that reference to have all the information here today.
Okay, so in 84 when this came out, of course, as any new product is, they probably were designing this in the late 70s, early 80s. They'd spent some time. And I know this was kind of a joint project with the French, was it not?
I believe so, yes. It was Peugeot or Puget. However it's pronounced.
I think it's Peugeot. Yeah,
Renault,
Peugeot.
that's what it is.
Or Renault.
Yeah, who makes those? Yeah.
And they were they kind of a joint project developing this body style. This was, of course, in the AMC days.
Yep.
So the XJ Cherokee, the original body style was built, by AMC, and the very first years that came out had some pretty anemic, low-powered engines in them. They had the 2.8 V6 that was a GM-sourced engine. It was originally the Chevy Citation engine, eventually became the S10 engine.
Yep. Had a 2.5-liter AMC four-cylinder.
Yeah, and that V6, it's worth mentioning, is one of the top lemon engines of all time. They were not known to go more than 70 or 80,000 miles without throwing a rod.
Oh, wow.
Terrible engines.
That's a bummer.
So, no offense. If there's somebody out there and you got 300,000 miles on one, great for you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome, but I've never seen it. They weren't a huge, they weren't real popular out of the box, although they sold quite a bit of them. They had a couple different models. They had the base models that were pretty much one body color, and then the upper end model of the XJ wasn't even called a Cherokee, it was called a Wagoneer. And that wasn't a Grand Wagoneer. They still made the Grand Wagoneer till 91.
Yeah, just the Wagoneer, and I think they had a Wagoneer Limited of that too.
Yeah,
kind of a higher scale model of that one.
So this was, but it's still the wood grain, the fake wood grain siding.
Yeah.
And like you said, they had a couple of engine options.
The grills were different on those too. They had 4 separate headlights, and the whole front grill was different on the Wagoneers compared to the Cherokees.
Yeah, they had the stacked headlight design. Yeah. I remember that. And you could get a diesel in the Jeeps starting in 1985, and they ran that only for a couple of years in North America till 87, and that was a Renault 126 cubic inch inline 4 diesel.
Yeah.
And there was not a lot of those made. I've only seen 2 of them in person myself over the years. Wouldn't mind having one. It's just odd.
It'd be neat. I've heard they're not such power monsters or anything like that.
No, I think they had to do a lot of valve adjustment early on in them. And then really where the Cherokee started to come alive would have been the 1987 model year. And that is the first introduction of the 4-liter inline 6, which is an engine that is a heavily redone version of the old 258 straight 6. They do share some parts, minor parts, I believe. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but
there's a number of parts that'll transfer over.
Okay.
I know the original, the very first version of a 4.0, or rather what we now know as a 4.0, was an old Ford tractor, I believe, from the 20s. And it's just, I mean, I think there's still a couple parts that actually interchange with them all the way down the line.
Huh?
Yeah. One of the first designs that ultimately became the 4.0 was it was like a 1920-something Ford tractor engine.
I didn't know that. So, okay, I'm going to have to do some more research on that. I was aware that the 258 was originally a Rambler design back in the 50s. But, and then, of course, Rambler was absorbed into what became AMC.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so, well, that's just history, vehicle history for you.
Yeah.
Stuff gets redone and redesigned.
Yeah.
So going back to 1987, they introduced the 4-liter straight 6 engine for the XJ Cherokee. Of course, concurrently, this engine's also available in the new YJ Wrangler, which we talked about on a previous episode, which also came out in 87. But this is a fuel injected in the Cherokee, is it, in 87?
I believe it was. I thought there was some model of it that was carbureted.
Okay.
I could be wrong on that, but I know at least the 88 on was the fuel injected, or I'm trying to remember what they call it. There was another name for it.
The Renix MPI?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I've never seen a carbureted 4-liter Cherokee. That may exist.
I may be thinking of the 258. That might be what's confusing me.
Which they didn't use in the Cherokee.
No.
But they did do carbureted 258s in the YJ.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a
That's
weird...
probably what I'm thinking.
Weird swap over there.
Yeah.
So the 4-liter was introduced, in the XJ Cherokee here, with a fuel-injected system. It was not like a TBI system. It was a multi-port fuel-injected system. The very first year out of the box was 175 horsepower, and that is up from the 115 that the 2.8 V6 made. So that's a big horsepower boost. That's 60, almost 60 horsepower, a little over 60 horsepower boost. And so that started to become a pretty popular Jeep at the point. So, John, your Jeep, your Cherokee, that was your first Jeep project?
Yes. So you heard me tell a story once about how my mom's family learned how to drive on the old Commando. This was what my brother, sister, and I learned how to drive on. At least manual transmission was this Jeep. It was the old, you just tool around the house, down the back roads with it. I probably shouldn't admit this, but I was driving down some of the back roads before I even got my driver's license in this thing.
Well, I mean, where you live, there's 3 people that live in the town?
Yeah, I think the official census numbers are somewhere between 750 and 1,000.
Oh, okay, all right.
Most people think that's counting all the cattle that are there, too. So.
Yeah, I would figure it did.
Yeah.
Your first start into the Jeep world was with the XJ Cherokee.
Yep.
And a lot of people were. One of the nice things about the XJs all the way up through to today is it's a very entry-level Jeep. It's cheaper than a used one's cheaper than a Wrangler.
I've seen these things. They're high mileage, needs work, got some rust, but I've seen these things running and driving as low as $400 or $500.
Yeah, they're just, I don't want to call them throwaways because they're not. They're an awesome vehicle. Just they made, what were you telling me earlier? Like how many?
2.8 million was the numbers I kept coming across.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Oh yeah.
That was a pretty cool vehicle. So they ended up like we said, went to the straight six, and they had a couple different rear end options. They had the Dana 44 available, the Dana 35 rear end in it. They had a lot of different little options there. The body pretty much stayed unchanged all the way through like 96, right?
For the first version of it, yeah. There were some trim package differences. Slightly different front grille on the Sport model versus the Laredo, for example.
Okay.
But other than that, yeah, relatively unchanged.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm looking. We were just talking back and forth a minute ago about the carbureted thing. The only carbureted, it looks like the only carbureted you could get in a Jeep. You could get the 2.5 straight 4, the i4. In the early days, you could get that with a single carburetor in 84 and 85, and then the 2.8 V6, the GM motor, you could also get that with a carburetor on it. But
I mix. Looking through so much of these things over time, some of it just kind of blends together.
Well, yeah, and that's one of the things about the Cherokee is over the years, they didn't really have a decisive year where all of a sudden they scrapped all of the old design and went to something new. It was truly
subtle changes.
Yeah, subtle changes. They kept improving upon it, and there was a few things where they maybe downgraded, but for the most part, they kept improving upon this thing from 84 all the way up.
Oh yeah, right to the end.
And I guess we're cart before the horse here, but I'm sure that if you have lived anywhere in North America, you have seen an XJ Cherokee.
Oh, I guarantee it.
Going down the road any given day.
Yeah.
But if you're listening to this for some reason and you don't know which Cherokee we're talking about, like I say all the time, just Google it, take a look. It's the square, little boxy Jeep, mostly four-door. Most of them are four doors, but they did make the two doors as well.
Yeah. Those were goofy looking, but they had the same amount of space.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
My first remembrance of a Cherokee where I was really impressed with it is I always liked the black one in the movie Goonies.
I've never seen it.
What?
Yeah, I see you looking at me funny like that. I've never seen the movie Goonies.
You've never seen Goonies?
I have not.
You have homework, John. You need to go home and see Goonies.
If I remember to, I will.
That's like one of the greatest 80s movies of all time.
Can you get... I was born then, man. I don't remember most of what was out.
They've got a black XJ Cherokee. It might even have a little lift on it. And they get in a shootout scene on a beach with it. It's like an iconic scene, man.
I'm going to have to find that. Is that on Netflix? I'll look later.
Yeah, I have no idea. But, all right, why don't we take a quick break? And when we come back, we're going to talk about the continued development of the XJ Cherokee.
Sounds good to me.
Hey, it sounds like it's time to swap out that old engine for something better, John.
Yeah, man, but I have so much into my trans and transfer case setup already. I don't want to change those too.
Sounds like you need to call Quick Draw Brand Adapters. They specialize in conversion bell housings for nearly all diesel and gasoline engines, including the new 2.8R Cummins.
I like weird engines, though. I want something different.
Then you definitely need to visit QuickDrawBrand.com today. They have those hard-to-find parts. They also have used diesel engines available. You can call them at 513-446-9654.
Cool, I'll do that. See what they have. Thanks. Welcome back to Wheeling. I am Johnny Orange, and we have Keith here with us today. We are discussing the Jeep XJ Cherokee.
Yes, we are. And so, John, we were kind of going through the history of it. We were jumping around there a little bit. Basically, 87 was the beginning of the quote-unquote modern XJ Cherokee with its fuel-injected straight six. And then within a few years, of course, in 87, AMC was bought out by Chrysler. So now Chrysler has their finger in the redesign of the Cherokee, but they keep the same body.
Yeah.
They actually wanted to kill it off pretty quickly, and they redesigned what originally was going to be its replacement as the ZJ Cherokee. But it proved to be such a popular model that they kept it going for a number of years.
Yeah, they kept both models, actually.
Yeah, they kept both models going. And So, they kept going through the improvements. 91, they got rid of the Renix fuel injection.
Thank God.
And that was the OBD1 at that point of some sort?
Some version of that. Yeah, it was a very touchy system.
Okay.
A lot of those systems, the diagnostics didn't work right or at all.
All right.
So the computers are a little funky. The sensors are all a little bit different. The electrical is a little bit different as far as the front to back, how things are done compared to more modern vehicle designs with electrical.
And at some point, so they all of the XJ Cherokees had the Dana 30 front.
Yep.
And they had a couple different options for the rear end, being the Dana 35, the Dana 44, which the Dana 44 in the rear of those is pretty rare.
Yeah. I've seen one or two, I think.
Yeah, and then they had the Chrysler
8 1/4.
Yeah, 8 1/4 in the last years of it. But with the Dana 30 front, they originally had CV shafts, and then they went to a vacuum disconnect front axle.
Yep.
And eventually they got rid of the vacuum disconnect. And I think that was early 90s, was it not?
I'll try to remember off the top of my head. I want to say around 92.
That sounds about right to me. And I know they, a few years later there, they upped the size of the U-joints. These were a high pinion Dana 30 front axle. So really the late 90s was the best front axle for the XJ Cherokee.
Up till the early 99s.
Early 99s, yeah. And then they ran out of high pinion axles, and they started putting the TJ low pinion axle for the last year and a half or so that they produced these.
Yep.
I know that my personal one that I used to have, I had the 97, which 97 was the first year of the facelift for North America.
And the steel tailgate.
And the steel tailgate. Yeah, they got rid of the fiberglass tailgate, went to the steel tailgate, completely changed the interior. They put a different
doors
nose.
Were different too. They got rid of the nice vent windows in the front, and they went with a solid window for it.
I never noticed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at pictures of them right now,
Yep.
and yeah, because my 97 did not have those little vent windows.
No, there were a number of models didn't have the actual vent window, but it still had the placement for it.
Yeah.
So I got later model doors to replace the rusted out ones that did not have the vent windows, but I actually kept the vent windows from the other doors for it. So I'm going to swap it in so I still have them. I don't smoke or anything. I just like the vents.
Yeah, no kidding. That's see, you're teaching me something every day. That's why I like doing this podcast with you, because we bounce back and forth with each other and we're always teaching each other things.
So I love these things. It just from when I started working on this, everything I learned, I'm still learning about these things.
About the Cherokees?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's crazy. There's a couple websites, a couple forums. What is it, North American XJ?
Yeah, it's NAXJA.
I think it's .org if I remember right.
.org, yeah.
I can check that real quick.
That's what it is.
That is a fantastic resource for information. Yep, .org.
Yeah.
Just all kinds of build information, different mods you can do, a lot of builds you can follow from people. Parts, of course, any good forum's going to have a, buy, sell, trade section.
Yeah.
Get the parts you need and all that.
Now the XJ, just a few points of interest. It was offered in 2 and 4-wheel drive. Of course, we're 4x4 guys. We don't have much interest in the 2-wheel drive ones.
Correct.
Although there's been some pretty awesome desert racers that have been built out of the 2-wheel drive ones.
I believe it.
And it was offered in both automatic and manual transmission, and they had a number of different transmissions for both of those. And the manual transmissions continuously got better. They eventually came out with the AX15 5-speed, and then replaced that with the NV3550, which a lot of Jeep guys have a love-hate relationship with. So
they're different. I mean, I prefer the AX15. I've had both.
I do too.
And my Wrangler had the 3550 before I did the diesel swap on it. And I put an AX15 in there. It's a more stout transmission. The parts availability is cheaper. If I rebuilt mine on a bench.
I remember when you did that. The hand tools, basically.
What is it? I think it's like a 13 millimeter socket, extension, and ratchet, 2 flathead screwdrivers, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. Simple little transmission, pretty light, but yet it's heavy duty.
Yeah.
Also, we need to mention that the XJ was the base for the MJ pickup truck, the Comanche pickup truck.
That thing's neat.
It is. We had one years and years ago, a little rusty, but it was a cool little vehicle. The only disadvantage there is the MJ was only in the first body style. They discontinued it. They did not, when they went to the 97 facelift, you did not get the... Although a number of guys have upgraded older Comanches, and they have put the 97 front end and interior in them.
That'd be a pretty cool swap.
It really is. It looks pretty neat. Speaking of that, swaps, there's a lot of different things you can do to modify these.
Lord, yes.
These are a huge popular vehicle in the off-roading circles.
Yeah.
The XJ Cherokee, you can do lift kits, very reasonable. It's coil springs in the front, leaf springs in the rear. And
you can do a budget lift on these things for less than $300 if you're not opposed to used parts, going to some scrap yards looking for stuff. Less than $300, probably even less than $200, you could really put a nice lift on it and get some, more use. I mean, it's going to ride stiff, but you can do it.
And with those budget lifts, a lot of the guys are running up to 33s on them.
Oh yeah, my project started with the idea of being a budget-based project, and a lot of the stuff I found I wanted to do, I needed just a little bit more, so bought the better parts for it. But overall, it's still a budget. Everything was used on it. I don't have a whole lot into the whole thing.
One of the things, and I know you've ran into this with the XJs, is they're rust prone.
Oh, yeah. Especially here in Michigan, they're very, very rust prone.
Floor pans and rear rockers are the biggest ones.
Yep.
Other parts too, but so if you're looking at a used one, definitely crawl underneath it. I've looked at dozens of Cherokees over the years where I pop my head underneath them and I can see the bottom side of the carpet.
Oh, yeah. There's one for sale down the road from me. From the road, you can see all the carpet hanging down on the passenger side.
Yeah, that's
really their biggest weak point is the floors. It's something about it. It just holds water.
So if someone was going to buy a Cherokee today, John, and build it for an off-roader, and let's say, they didn't want to swap out the engine and the axles and the transmissions, and they just wanted to build something to maybe do, like you said, a budget boost and take it off-road. Is there a particularly series or year of them that would be best?
Probably the later mid to late 90s. Is you're going to have the high output engine. I'd say go 96 or 96 to 99, because you're going to have the OBD2, so you can do your diagnostic testing and all of that with diagnostic computer. You're going to get the better high pinion front axle with that. Me personally, I prefer the manual transmissions. So you're going to have an AX15 with that. You're going to avoid the 3550, which was towards the end of it.
Yeah, and the 3550, my experience is kind of a sloppier shifting transmission.
Yeah, a little bit more noisy, special fluid. Yeah. With my AX15, I can really go pretty much anywhere and get fluid that I need for it. Yeah. The 3550 requires some specialty fluids, and if you don't use it, you can have some problems with it. Mm-hmm. But just overall, mid to late 90s. Like I said, I'd say probably 96 to 99.
Yeah, those are some great years. I had that 97 5-speed years ago, and 97 to 01 with a manual is pretty rare. You don't see them.
They're difficult to find.
They're popping up a little more now, I see. Guys are getting rid of them, but...
if you go with the 97 split too, then you get that newer body style.
You do.
Or not the body style, the newer trim styles and all that.
The only disadvantages I found out in 97, they had done, before, this is prior to Volkswagen Gate and all that, or, VW or Dieselgate that Volkswagen had. They had done some kind of shady tuning or incorrect tuning to the computer systems. So I remember mine was getting a weird code, and when they plugged it in, it said cylinder number 7 was misfiring.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, because I only had 6.
Yeah.
So, and I found out later that there are a number of wiring issues specifically in the 97 model year. So if you were looking for the old body style, I would probably try to look for a 96.
I would say so.
And if you're looking for the new body Uni-body style, look for a 98, early 99.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with 97. I bought my 97 with 111,000 miles on it, drove it 265 with very minimal problems.
Nice.
Speaking of high mile ones, the highest mileage Jeep in the world that is known right now, and of course, if somebody knows of one higher mileage, get a hold of us on 4x4 Talk on Facebook or one of our other social medias and let us know. But a guy named Jan Ritchie has a 1988 Jeep Cherokee that he has owned since new that as of a 2011 writing, so that's pretty old. That's 8 years ago already. He had 612,000 miles on that thing.
Mine's only at about 230, so I got a ways to go.
Yeah, you need to catch up, man.
Yeah.
That's, but yeah, so that's the highest mile Jeep, not just Jeep Cherokee, but Jeep product vehicle.
Wow. Cool.
So, these are durable.
Yeah.
They've won a lot of awards over the years. You were saying some of the awards they've won?
Yeah, so going back up in my notes here, there's a lot of different things this vehicle helped influence in the 4x4 world. A lot of them called it, Jeep Off-Road, the book. They called it a significant link in the evolution of 4x4. And a lot of people say it's one of the best SUV shapes and designs of all time.
I think it is a classic design. You do see a lot of TV and movies where, the people in the shows are driving them.
Oh, yeah.
They've kind of taken that place of the old Grand Wagoneer as the Jeep SUV that's cool for the, millennials or whatever to own. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, you and I like to hardcore wheel them.
Oh, yeah.
But the collectible value is going up on
Oh,
them.
yeah. That's, I think it was 2011. It was selected as one of the 10 cars that refused to die.
It just refuses to die.
Yeah. I mean, mine's an 88. I did some engine work to it. I did a head swap, an intake manifold, some other stuff. And when I took the heads off, the cylinder walls still had factory crosshatch marks on them. As far as I could tell, factory anyways. But, I mean, they look great. It was incredible.
Yeah. That's pretty amazing. I never had to do any internal engine work to mine at 265. I had done a clutch on it and just your small stuff like water pumps and about 3 front ends because I kept hitting deer with it. But
well, why would you do that?
I don't know.
Hungry or something? I mean,
the deer, they were just bad drivers,
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I didn't get their hit and runs. I didn't get their licenses.
Gotcha.
All right, John. Why don't we listen to a quick word from our sponsor, and we'll be back in a minute.
Sounds good.
Have you heard the good news? Now there's a local paper that people just can't seem to get enough of. It's the Thumbprint News. The Thumbprint News is free and full of interesting stories that focus on what's important in our lives. Stories that touch on this area's rich history, unique places, and the diverse cultures and people. You'll be in the know when you read the Thumbprint News. Go to thumbprintnews.com and read the paper online for free today.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Keith with Thin Line Off-Road, and sitting across from me is Johnny Orange.
What's going on?
So we've been talking in this episode about the Jeep XJ Cherokee. We covered some of the engine options, transmission options. We didn't get real technical, just kind of covering, the pros and cons of different years, and that's pretty cool. As you know, we've been doing giveaways, jumping around different times in the podcast, so you got to listen to the podcast to know when they are. We're going to actually do a giveaway right now. And we're going to make this one a little simpler. This is not a trivia. This is just going to be just a little bit of work. So that's why we're going to make this a little bit of work for you. What you need to do to win a Thin Line Off-Road hoodie, we're going to give away a Thin Line Off-Road hoodie for this one, is you have to go to podbean.com. That's podbean.com. You need to download or go to your app store on your phone and download the Podbean app so you can listen to us, listen to Wheel and Radio. So you go to Wheel and Radio then on the Podbean app, and you need to click follow. Podbean is going to give you unless you change it, because you can go in there and do that, they're going to just automatically give you a username. It's going to be nonsensical, like some letters or numbers. So what you need to do is you need to follow us on the Podbean app. You then need to put a comment that you love wheeling or whatever you want. You can say, I love Jeeps, love listening to you guys, whatever you want to say. Leave us a nice positive comment. And then, so we know who you are, because we're not going to know who you are on the Podbean app, go to the 4x4 Talk group on Facebook and let us know what your username is. That's all you need to do. Just let us know what your username is on the Podbean app. So if you haven't joined 4x4 Talk on Facebook, you'll need to go do that. So it's a little bit of work here. So try not to make it too confusing for you. You need to like and follow us on the Podbean app, and then you need to let us know what your username is on the 4x4 Talk page on Facebook. That's all you need to do. We're going to randomly draw one of the people that does that lets us know what their username is on the Podbean app that's also following us. And we're going to send you a hoodie. As simple as that.
Cool. Can I do it?
Can you do what?
I mean, do I qualify for that? I want a hoodie.
You don't qualify for this, no.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I'll just give you one, John. We're on different services too, Twitter, Facebook. We've said that before. Follow us on the different ones, whatever your favorite.
What was that new one again we're on?
We are on the Pocket Cast app.
Right. Cool.
And that was Casey Cross or Kevin Cross out of Texas.
Awesome.
He's the one that put us on there.
Cool. Thanks again, buddy.
Yeah, thank you very much, Casey. So that's what you need to do. You need to like and follow us on Podbean. Go to 4x4 Talk, follow the group, and let us know what your username is on there. And like I said, we're just going to do random. Speaking of our trivia questions, as of this recording, the one from episode 8, the 8-lug axle one, is still unclaimed. If no one has put the correct answer by the time episode 9 uploads, we are going to be just going to episode 9, and like I said, we're going to put the prizes in a box. So hopefully you still got some time, or they still have some time. By the time you hear this one, they won't. So let's hope somebody gets that one. Maybe we made that one on episode 8 a little bit too tough. I'm not sure.
Baby.
We'll see. All right, so back to our show about XJ Cherokees. John, you are a wealth of knowledge on ways to improve. I know one of the things you were saying, the fuel injection, you can improve on these.
So there's a very simple upgrade on a lot of these older Jeeps. And I don't know all the part numbers off the top of my head, but it's a very simple Google search. You can use certain years of the Dodge Neon, the fuel injectors. You can actually use them on these Jeeps.
What does that do?
Well, the Jeep Cherokees use a type of injector that just puts out a stream of fuel. So it doesn't mix with the air as well as some of the more well-designed injectors do. So you get a little bit of power loss from that, a lot of unburned fuel. Your fuel economy is not as good. So what the quote-unquote fix for that, so to speak, is the neon injector. Instead of one stream of fuel, it uses 4 pinhole holes, it's called, in the injector. So it kind of mists it. Makes it like a mist. Mixes with the air better. You get more power out of that.
How about economy?
A little bit better fuel economy.
Okay.
So I did this upgrade in my Wrangler, and it ran better. It ran quieter. I had more power out of it. Got a lot better fuel mileage. Not a lot, maybe 2 to 3 mile per gallon improvement on it, but it just a little bit more. Runs better.
And there's something else too you can do with an intake manifold swap.
Yep. So in '99, there were some new emissions requirements from the U.S. government, which made some of the exhaust ports more restricting. So to combat that, they redesigned the intake manifold to what they call the horseshoe manifold. So if anybody's worked on their engines, the intake manifold, square, boxy looking thing on the older high output ones, the later models have a horseshoe. And that is direct bolt-on for the other HO engines, and it gives you, again, better airflow characteristics, a little bit more power out of that. Again, a little better fuel mileage, all that good stuff. So very simple upgrade. You can usually pick those up $40 to $60.
Very cool.
Easy. Yeah.
Now I know like the aftermarket support for the XJ is huge. There's lots of, and there's too many to even mention. There's lots of bumper companies, rocker sliders.
Yeah.
I know a popular upgrade because the unibodies can take a beating off road. They do what they call frame stiffeners to tie the front and rear half of the unibody together. A couple companies make those. There's exo cages that people build custom themselves. I think there's even kits you can buy for those now.
Yeah, there's actually a company that makes tube doors for them too.
Tube doors, they're just huge. The aftermarket support for them. And what's really neat is any of the bolt-in axle upgrades that are available for the Jeep TJ also go into the XJ.
The front axle.
Oh, the front, yes, just the front, because it's the same.
Some of the rear axle parts, but at that point you're talking like brake parts and some internals maybe.
Okay.
The tubes are obviously different.
Yeah. So the front end's a bolt-in, so you could take...
Yeah.
You could even go and take a TJ Rubicon Dana 44 front. You can actually bolt it right into an XJ, no modifications.
Yeah, that's
right
one of the common upgrades for the older Jeeps with the small U-joints or that vacuum axle disconnect. Swap a later model high pinion axle in there with the big U-joints. Mm-hmm. And then you don't have to worry about that vacuum thing, that module that just... Mine was full of water when I pulled it and ice. It didn't work.
Was there any other like junkyard upgrades, things like that you wanted to mention on the XJ Cherokee?
The only other one, really, some of the older models used an inferior transfer case. So probably the best transfer case, the simplest and strongest one of the factory specs is the NP231.
Yes.
And that's a bolt-on for most of them.
Yeah, I think they're all pretty much like 23 spline input.
Yeah.
And it's just...
Well, the early ones were 21 spline.
Oh, okay.
So I don't remember the year break. It was about mid-90s.
All right.
So, yeah.
So that's a good upgrade for them.
Absolutely.
The Jeep XJ is a fantastic platform. I want another one someday. I miss mine. I kind of regret selling it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But definitely would like to get another one someday.
I got to finish mine. I could dust it off and start working on it again. I got to weld in floors and put the front end back together and new brake lines, fuel lines, paint, bumpers, winch.
We've gone through quite a bit with the Jeep XJs. If you want to show us some pictures of your XJ project, go to 4x4 Talk, the closed group on Facebook, join it. Throw up some pictures of your XJ project. We'd love to see them.
Absolutely.
Might do some shout outs on a future episode. I don't have any great shout outs that I wanted to do right now on that. Did you have any, John, that you wanted to do?
Not really. I just know we want to talk a little bit about what we're doing next show.
Yeah, so on our next show, we are going to be bringing in Chad McKinney of Quick Draw Brand, quickjawbrand.com. He is a pioneer in the diesel engine adapter business. He's also making adapters now for gas engines to swap all sorts of small diesels and V8s, gas engines into your Jeeps, your Land Cruisers, your Range Rovers, all sorts of vehicles.
Cool.
He's very, very knowledgeable, and I'm really looking forward to speaking with him.
Me too. There's a lot about that stuff I don't know, so I'm looking forward to learning some stuff.
He's got some cool stuff.
Cool.
As always, folks, if you're following us on social media, make sure you like us on Facebook at Wheelin'. You can join the closed group 4x4 Talk, like I said. You can also follow us on Twitter at Wheelin' Radio. And also, there's an announcement. We're always talking about the Museum of Off-Road Adventure, which both you and I are involved with. Mm-hmm. The museum has their own group now as well called 4x4 Museum.
Oh, cool.
And that's really meant for people to go in and put pictures of old antique 4x4s, really old wheeling pictures. You got some cool picture you took at a Monster Jam in 1985. We want to see it on there.
Absolutely.
So post up the vintage stuff on there on the 4x4 Museum. So it's another Facebook group that you can join. Is there any other plugs that you wanted to do right now, John?
Nothing I can think of at the moment.
Yeah. So, I think that, the Jeep Cherokee for our episode 10 here was a great one to talk about. Get you a little picture of some of the things you can do.
Oh, yeah.
If you have questions about the Jeep Cherokee, you can reach John or myself through the 4x4 Talk Facebook group, and other people can chime in. Throw your questions up there. And like I said, your pictures. So
Absolutely.
Well, I think this has been a good one. John, why don't you sign us off?
Sounds good. Thanks for listening, and have a good one, everybody.